Hey guys, I'm Heather. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and the founder of healthfullyheather.com. And today I wanted to jump on here and talk to you a little bit more about what I call my 5 foundations of healthy living, and especially in terms of how these foundations relate to IBS or irritable bowel syndrome. So as many of us know, nutrition has a huge role to play in this. However, that being said, there is no direct link between what you eat and the development of IBS. But if you have it, or if you know someone who does, you probably realize that what we eat and when we eat has a huge role to play in whether or not we experience symptoms of IBS. And so, diet is definitely the underlying foundation of it all. What we eat, how we eat, when we're eating, those all have a really big role to play. But I don't want to focus so much on the nutrition aspect right now, because the thing is, with IBS, you can be eating the most nutritious, the cleanest diet ever, and you can still be experiencing symptoms. And that can be so frustrating to people who feel like they're doing everything right. So what are the other foundations? The first one I want to focus on is actually sleep. Sleep is so important, really, for everything in our life. And so many people, a majority of people actually, are just not getting enough. A lot of people think that they can get by with less than 7 hours of sleep every night. And, often when we have less sleep, we think that we're functioning fine. We don't really feel necessarily the adverse effects of it, especially if it's only, 1 hour or so that we've missed from one night. But studies have actually shown that even with just that little bit amount of sleep lost over just one night, and we're already functioning at an impairment the next day. So you can just imagine the sort of impact that this could have on your digestive health and on your IBS. We're going to be less resilient against stress, which is, a really big part of this whole story. We are potentially not making as good choices, especially when it comes to the food that we're eating. We're going to be more likely to go for things that maybe don't suit us that well. There's also a tendency to overeat. And there's other, chain reactions that happen in our body when we're running on less sleep than we need. Now, the second foundation I want to talk about is stress, and I already teased it a little bit just there, but there's a really strong connection between our brain and between our gut. And with people with IBS, this connection is not always functioning that well. And one thing that can really disrupt this is stress. So, like I said, if you're having this super clean, this very healthy diet, but you're eating while you're stressed, or you're, in a period of chronic stress, your body's not going to be able to handle that the same way it would if you were in a very calm and relaxed state. And so a lot of people will see that their symptoms of IBS are triggered, or even that their IBS kind of started around periods in their life where they are experiencing a lot of stressful events. So stress management and self-care is super important when it comes to people with IBS. Now, the next foundation is connection. And this kind of ties in with the stress thing, because it's a way that we can sort of self-care and feel better and more refreshed. But it's, making sure we have those healthy, engaged relationships with people in our life, whether that's family or friends or colleagues, really nurturing those relationships, and also making sure that we have the right boundaries set around them. But it's also our connection with nature. So making sure we're getting out, we're getting fresh air, we're, going for a walk and experiencing some green, whatever that might be. That's also really important in terms of our mental health and in terms of our stress management. So connection is also a really big part of this puzzle. And the final foundation that I want to talk about is movement. And I like to call it movement instead of exercise, because exercise often feels like something we're obligated to do, and it tends to have a bit of this negative connotation on it. So if we think about movement, it feels much more natural. What ways can we move our body every day that feel really good and give us more energy and bring us happiness and joy, as opposed to the exercise, which can sometimes feel like a bit of a slog. And this has such a big impact on our health as well. It's very important also for our digestive health, having enough exercise. We have seen that there's sort of like a bell curve. So, if you're very sedentary, that can have a very negative impact on your health. As you start increasing your movement, you see that really uptick in the health happen. And then of course, if you move into the over-exercising part of it, then you also can start having a negative impact, because you're triggering, again, that stress response that we want to stay away from. So I hope that gave you a bit of a better understanding of the different foundations that really go into healthy living, especially in terms of how it can relate to IBS. So as a really quick recap, that's nutrition, stress, sleep, connection, and movement. If you found this helpful, please like this video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you again soon.